Are you thinking about buying a property in Spain and you're not sure about the steps to take or the challenges you might encounter? Today, I'm going to talk about the process you should follow if you're not a resident in Spain and want to buy a house here. I will guide you through everything you need to have and the steps to follow one by one so you don't have any doubts about how to make your investment safely and with all the guarantees. You want to know more about this? Grab a seat and let's get started. Buying a house under normal circumstances, even if you are from here, can be complicated, and difficulties often arise. Imagine being a foreigner. It's normal to feel uncertain and anxious about the prospect of buying a house in a country that isn't your own, where you don't know the areas, the real estate market, and of course the bureaucratic process, the costs, and the laws that must be considered when purchasing a home. As real estate personal shoppers, we've assisted many foreign individuals in buying their homes, whether it's going to be their main residence or an investment. I can imagine having to buy a house in France, in the US, Australia or Mexico and not knowing where to start from. I'd have two options. Either do it by myself with all the potential risks that might entail, or trust someone specialized in that type of work. It's like when you need a very specific job done at home. You can either learn and do it yourself or entrust the task to a specialist in that kind of work and limit yourself to the task supervision. I think you can already guess the moral of the story here. There's a lot at stake in this operation. So these are the topics that I want to discuss about in this video. First, let's take a look at two very important things that you must bear in mind if you've decided to buy a house in Spain. After that, we'll discuss the requirements you need to meet in order to buy. And finally, the steps you must follow to complete the purchase. The first and foremost thing, which is absolutely essential and cannot be stressed enough, is to determine how much money you have to spend on buying your house and whether you need financing. You should also budget for expenses like taxes, notary fees, house modification, and so on. Many people ask us if you can apply for a mortgage from a Spanish bank in Spain even if you're not a resident. And the answer is yes, you can. For residents, banks typically offer up to 80% of the appraisal value of the house if you're going to buy. Now, in your case as non-residents, that percentage may vary depending on the bank you approach, because your guarantees and collateral are not within the country, which increases the bank's risk of not recovering the loaned money. That is why, despite our initial mortgage recommendations, we strongly recommend our clients to work with a mortgage broker that knows how to deal with the banks and can get you the best conditions. So let's be crystal clear in this point. If you control the numbers, you control the whole operation. Okay, and here's an important note regarding the appraisal value, because it doesn't necessarily correspond to the actual purchase price of the house. In fact, they almost never match, and more often than not, the appraisal value is lower. Let me give you an example. If you're buying a 1 million euro house, the bank's appraisal might come at 920,000 euros, for example. That means that the bank will lend you a percentage of that appraisal value. Assuming it's a 60%, they would lend you 552k, and you need to cover the rest. So you have to keep in mind this when planning your finances to avoid any setbacks. It's best to first speak with the banks to understand their terms and how much they can finance, so you can plan accordingly. Now here comes the second crucial piece of information, and perhaps the most interesting one. If you make a real estate investment in Spain equal to or greater than 500,000 euros, you automatically qualify for a golden visa, which is a residence permit for non-European Union citizens. In other words, it allows you to access the benefits of a residence permit in exchange for a financial investment. This applies not only to the buyer but also to their spouse and children under 18. Additionally, and I'm quoting the law now here, the residence permit can be renewed even if there are absences exceeding 6 months per year of residence visas and authorizations for foreign investors. But I already have another video where I delve into the golden visa in Spain, so if you're interested in this topic, be sure to click this video up here. And now let's move to the second part. First and foremost, remember what I mentioned at the beginning of this video about doing things on your own. Even for us, professionals in the field and residing in this country, we see how in almost every real estate transaction there's something that can cause a headache. Buying a property is not easy, not even for Spaniards living in the city where they want to make the purchase. That's why our recommendation for foreigners is always to find someone you can trust. This person should be familiar with the areas, the types of houses, the prices, which areas are the most profitable and secure, and available services. They should help you find the right house and negotiate its purchase. This professional should ensure that it's free of any debts or assessments, handle all the necessary documentation, and ensure that everything is done according to the law. But this doesn't just come naturally. It's the result of a very comprehensive and detailed report. It'd be fantastic for you if this professional can also put you in touch with experts who can quickly and efficiently handle your needs. This of course includes tasks like the mortgage applications that we just talked about, applying for the NIE, which is the foreign ID, applying for the Golden Visa, tax management, and many more. Ultimately, the goal is to save you money, time, and above all, stress. The second thing you'll need to buy a house in Spain is the NIE, which stands for Número de Identificación de Extranjeros, or Foreign Identification Number. It's unique to each person, and you'll have the same one for the rest of your life. And this document is essential to purchase a property in Spain. You can make a reservation for a property with your passport, but you will need your NIE before signing the deed. Otherwise, you won't be able to complete the purchase before a notary. The NIE will appear in all the documents you sign or receive in Spain, and it's not difficult to obtain. You'll need to schedule an appointment at the nearest police station to the location where you intend to live or buy the property. Or you can also process it at your consulate before coming. But please note that the consulate cannot issue the NIE. It acts only as a mailbox between the applicant and the Spanish authorities, in this case the police. To obtain it, you will need to fill out a request form correctly on your computer. But do not sign it. You should sign it in the presence of the official who receives it, as they must verify your ID in person. The application should be accompanied by a document showing that you've paid the established fee, a photo, your passport, and a photocopy of your passport. The process usually takes around 3 weeks in theory. Warning! Please don't forget to provide the correct email address in your application. They need to send you your NIE. For more information, I'm going to leave below a link to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Spain, where you can download the forms and find instructions on how to do it. Now, the third thing you'll need is to open a bank account in Spain. It's not necessary for the purchase, but it does speed up the paperwork and payments and may save you some fees. After the purchase is completed, you will need this account to pay taxes, so it's recommended to have one before. And last but not least, the fourth thing you need, once you become a property owner, you will need a fiscal representative to manage all your affairs. So it might be worth researching and choosing one before the purchase, so they can help you straight after it. And now let's dive into the steps you need to take when buying a house in Madrid. Did I already mention that the most important thing you need to buy a house is to find someone trustworthy to guide you through all the entire process? I didn't mention it? Okay, get this. As an individual and foreigner, there are many legal considerations that someone unfamiliar with the Spanish legal system might overlook, and many things that can go wrong. But anyway, here are the steps. Step 1. Obviously, the first step is to search for a house. Choose where you want to live or invest, whether it's Madrid, Barcelona, Malaga, or any other location. Determine the type of neighborhood and house that suits your needs. To select the right house, it will be essential to visit them, walk through the streets, and check out for nearby services. These factors add value and give you a sense of security. The second step is to investigate the property. Let's say you found a house that you like. That's great, you found it. But don't get too excited just yet. You need to ensure that what you're buying meets all the guarantees. Always do this before making any down payment. It's crucial. Imagine signing a binding contract and later discovering structural problems or other issues that could ruin your investment. Avoid this by obtaining a nota simple from the property registry. This document not only verifies the true owner or owners of the real estate property, but also shows if there are any debts, foreclosure issues, pending assessments, or whether it has passed the building inspection, the ITE. anything that raises concerns. If necessary, consult with an architect to certify that it is structurally and technically sound. You won't believe how many problems and money you will save with this step. Okay, let's move to the third step. And now it's time to negotiate. The key to getting the best price for your house is to control your emotions and plan your purchase strategy carefully. This means you should have crunched the numbers and prepared your strategy before making an offer. But if you're interested in a video on how to negotiate a house, please leave a comment down below asking for it. Negotiation is a crucial element in ensuring your investment succeeds, and it depends on making your numbers work. Now let's move on to the fourth step. Once the research is complete and everything checks out, you need to sign a purchase agreement or contract of Arras. This agreement ensures that the seller commits to selling the property and you commit to buying it. In this agreement, the buyer pays the seller a deposit as a firm reservation of the property. In Spain, it's typically the 10% of the purchase price. The contract is simple, short and concise, including personal details of both the seller and the buyer, detailed information about the property as it appears in the property registry. It's also advisable to include the cadastral reference here, the total purchase price, the estimated date for the notarization, the amount paid as a deposit, and the outstanding balance. The agreement specifies that the property is transferred free of debts and encumbrances, and that all taxes and obligations are up to date. It also outlines the penalties for failing to fulfill the agreement, which is why it's called Arras penitenciales in Spanish. If the buyer breaches the contract and doesn't complete the purchase, they lose the deposit. And if it's the seller who breaches the contract, they must return double that deposit. I cannot stress enough how important this document is, and in theory, everything can be negotiated if both parties agree, even the percentage of the deposit. Everything should be clearly documented in the contract to avoid any surprises later on. For newly built properties in Spain, developers are legally obligated to guarantee that the amount paid in the contract plus legal interest will be returned if the construction is not completed. And last but not least, the very moment when you become the owner of the property is when you notarize the sale. If you require financing, you should formally arrange the agreements with the bank between the contract of Arras that we just talked about and the notarization. In the notary's office, you will sign both the mortgage and the property purchase documents in the same act, with the mortgage signing preceding the property purchase. The notary will personally explain the loan conditions a few days before signing, giving you the opportunity to clarify any doubts with them or your bank before the formalization. Obviously, the public deed provides legal certainty and attests to the date, who is involved, how they are involved, on behalf of whom they act, verification of representative powers if applicable, the property's encumbrances, and, of course, the payment of taxes. Everything. So, to summarize once again, we've covered that no matter if you're getting a mortgage or not, the first step is to crunch the numbers and determine how much you can spend on the purchase. We've also discussed that you can apply for the Golden Visa if you invest over 500,000 euros. Furthermore, we've outlined the 4 things you need to buy a house and the steps to carry out the purchase. Many of you ask about taxes when buying a house. However, it's rather an extensive topic that could fill an entire video. So please let me know if you'd like us to make a video on this topic for our channel by leaving a comment down below. I hope this video has helped clarify any possible doubt about buying a property in Spain. And I genuinely hope that you achieve your goal. And remember that we are local real estate personal shoppers here, and if you have any questions, if you're thinking of moving to the Madrid Metro, just reach us any way you want. We'd love to help you out to find your ideal place to live or to invest. But we can only do so if you reach out to us, give us a call, send us an email, or fill out the form in our website, livinginmadridspain.com. You have all the information in the description down below. However you do it, we got you covered when moving to the Madrid Metro. And also don't forget to check out our other videos and subscribe to our channel and press the ring bell to receive notifications about all our upcoming content. Until the next video, hasta la próxima!